Hey everybody, what's going on? You remember me? But seriously, what is going on everybody? I know it's been quite a while since I've done any videos. I haven't posted on here or on my Collins History Archives channel in quite some time. I've been really busy the past few months, so I just haven't gotten around to it, but decided I'd do a video today and test out my new tripod that I have. The old one was a little worse for wear, so I bought a new one. Now I'm testing it out. Anyway, um, let's get into the video. The video topic for today is a friendship of mine, actually. One that I've had for nearly 20 years. Um, um, 17, 16 years to be exact, somewhere in there. It's been a long time. This is going back to my elementary school days, fourth grade mostly. Some of third grade, but we really didn't start hanging out until fourth grade. And my friend is Job. You might know him. Uh, you might have seen him on my channel before. We've done videos before, gun reviews. He's been in some of my gaming videos. Some of my vlogs that I've done, all of my vlogs that I've done, he's in them. And today is his 27th birthday. And to Job, I wish you a very happy birthday. You deserve it. You deserve the best birthday that you can have. So anyway, let's get into it. I want to talk about this friendship a little bit. I don't know how long I'll make this video. I'm going to try not to make it too long. But I just want to reminisce on it a little bit. I don't really expect to get many views off of it. This video is kind of really intended for him, but if any of you want to pop in and check out the video, you are more than welcome to do so. So Job and I go way back, almost 20 years. I mean, we started hanging out in elementary school. We were in the same fourth grade class, same teacher, everything. And we grew up in the same community in Indiana, near Indianapolis. My grandfather was an insurance agent up there, so we were up in the area. That's where we live. That's where I grew up. So yeah, that's that. So we started hanging out like a lot in fourth grade. We were in the same class. Some of these facts might not be in like chronological order or whatever, and that's fine. I'm not gonna tell you every little detail about the friendship, but I just want to reminisce on it a little bit. We started hanging out in fourth grade. We were in the same fourth grade class. One of my earliest memories is I remember sitting at the same table as him in art class. We were kind of doodling a little bit, making a little kitty picture or whatever. And we started talking. We were kind of drawing the same thing. I was drawing some Star Wars picture. That was my big thing of the time. Back when the prequel, back a few years after Revenge of the Sith came out. I was on my Star Wars kick, my big Star Wars kick. And he was too. He was a pretty big Star Wars fan. But anyway, yeah, I was drawing my Star Wars pictures. He was drawing his Star Wars pictures or whatever. And we started really chatting it up. And we kind of hit it off immediately at that time. There were other times that we had met before that. But that's like one of my earliest memories where we started really talking and being friends. Of course, there was another time when we would have like reading time in a class or whatever. in the same grade, 4th grade. And you know, we'd all just scatter around the classroom and read different books or whatever. And my teacher had paired me with Job. I don't know if Job remembers this or not, but this is how it happened. My teacher paired Job and I together, and we read together out in the hallway during reading time. And we would read I don't remember what we read at all. It's been it's been many years ago. We were kids, but yeah, that was another memory I had. I don't remember what we read at all, but I remember sitting out in the hallway, and Job and I would read for however long reading time was. I don't even remember how long it was. Yeah, so that was, you know, just another memory. And then another time, for example, we were out at recess, out in the playground at recess. I think I was like kind of balancing. You know, I forget whether it was me or whether it was Joe that was doing this. I think it was me. It was balancing up on a little support, like a little beam, wooden beam or something like that. I forget. And Job came walking by, or maybe Job was going down the slide. I don't remember all the details of it. But I just remember just kind of being a kid, just balancing up on that little wooden beam on the playground, you know, that separated the mulch from the grass, whatever. And Job came up to me and started talking, and we kind of hit it off again. I don't remember what the conversation was about, but it was just one of those things where, again, we hit it off. It's like, you know, events like this that were happening in 4th grade, you know, just kind of led us on the path of friendship. It extended many, many years. And of course, it was in the 4th grade. I hadn't gone to 5th grade yet. He hadn't gone to 5th grade yet. It was in 4th grade when my grandparents, who raised me, pulled me out of public school. And I was homeschooled after that. And that kind of, it didn't strain our relationship at all. We still hung out a lot after that. But I got pulled out of public school and homeschooled all the way through high school. Anyway, but it just it was kind of hard on us that we weren't gonna see each other every day anymore. We weren't gonna get to hang out every day, but we had each other's phone numbers. This is back with house phones. You know, everyone's got cell phones now, like iPhones and smartphones and all this other stuff they use. Now, when, you know, we didn't have that. I mean, we had cell phones at the time, but my grandparents at the time didn't let me have cell phone. You know, we were only 11 years old, 10 or 11 years old, and Job didn't have a cell phone either, so we had house phone, and that's what we used. And so we had each other's numbers. We'd call each other almost every day. Yeah, getting a little bit ahead of myself. But yeah, that's when we kind of our relationship as friends got put to the first real test, because we weren't seeing each other every day anymore. Because I was homeschooled and he was still in public school, and he stayed in public school up until he graduated high school. But just memories like that I just reminisce about. This is a video I've been meaning to make for a long time. I just never got around to it, but you know, it's Job's birthday. I figured I would get on here and make this video. I don't know how long it will be, but here we are, making a video. Sitting on the edge of my bed here, sorry. But I just remember memories in 4th grade. At recess, we would get out on the playground with a whole bunch of other kids. And I don't know, we had all these kids playing touch football. I don't know if that's really a thing with kids anymore. You know, it's instead of tackling the other pushing person, you'd like tap, kind of like tag. You'd tap them, and then that was you were tackled. So I had kids doing that. Had kids on the monkey bars, going down slides. But not me and Job. Me and Job didn't do that stuff. We had our little group of guys that we got together with every recess, that we would have our imaginary lightsabers. You know, again, Job and I were big Star Wars geeks, especially for the prequel trilogy, you know, episode 1, 2, 3. And so we had our little imaginary lightsabers we'd duel all the other kids with. You had our teams, you had your Jedi and your Siths. We'd get together. And it was, you know, some of the most fun that I've ever had as a kid, you know. Just some of the memories is like we're all dueling each other, you know. It's just this big imaginary Star Wars universe or world that we're just coming up with. And it was, if I remember right, it was like a story. We had this big story every recess. We were basically picking up on the same wacky story. It's just great. And then Job and I later down the line, we had this thing that popped up called the Ghost World, which I won't go into too much detail about. It's like we were these beings sent by God to protect the world and fight evil type of thing that we started doing around the same time. And Job and I kind of went on our separate adventures with that, and that was something that I remember. Just running around the playground, just having the time of our lives. That was great. It was great, and we always sat at lunch together in the cafeteria. We sat together on a bus when we went on field trips. And then one field trip in particular that I remember in Indianapolis. We were doing a class at the time for history or poetry, something like that, on James Whitcomb Riley, and he was a poet that lived in the 1800s, around the time of the Civil War, a little before that. But anyway, he lived in the Indianapolis area, and he's known for writing a poem called Little Orphan Annie. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I remember going on a field trip. We all went on a field trip. We had the class was split up into two teams. One team went to the house. It's a museum house where James Whitcomb Riley lived, on a street called Lockerbie Street in Indianapolis. And one half went to the house first, while the other half went to the cemetery, for Crown Hill Cemetery. You might have heard of it. It's like the biggest cemetery in Indiana, probably. It sits on this high hill, and you can see Indianapolis. And like the highest point of the cemetery is where Riley's buried. So we went there and visited his grave, and Benjamin Harrison, the President of the United States, he's buried there. Yeah, I don't remember. I think we went to the cemetery first, and then we went on to the house while that group went to the cemetery. I think that's what happened. But I remember going on a field trip there, and that's just something I'll never forget. And Job and I we were attached to each other. We followed each other everywhere, walking around the cemetery, through the house. I just vividly remember the tour. We were given a tour there, and going up the stairs. This little red window on the stairwell going up the stairs that I remember. And I remember seeing James Whitcomb Riley's room that he lived in the house, and that was just another memory that I remember. Then there was another time, I don't hardly remember anything about this one, but we went on a field trip to an apple orchard planted by Johnny Appleseed, if you know anything about him. We went on a field trip there one time. just memories like that that I wanted to reminisce about. Of course, like I said, when I was pulled out of public school in 4th grade, um, I remember uh, one of my last days in public school. My last day in public school, I remember my family was going to Texas. No, we were going to Tennessee. The funeral was in Tennessee. My great-grandfather had died this year in January in 2009. This was the year it was. And this was my last year of public. I think this was my last day. I think, but after that, I was out of public school. I was going to be homeschooled. That's the way it was. So this was kind of our first real test of friendship, to see if it would last, because we weren't seeing each other every day anymore. We weren't. But we had each other's numbers. So we were calling each other almost every day. And how could I talk about all this without remembering the first time we got together? I don't remember if I had pulled out a public school or not. I don't think so. It's possible that I did, but I don't remember. But I remember getting together with him we got together for the weekend. He came up to my house, and we went with my dad to stay with his girlfriend at the time in Plainfield, Indiana. But I remember that. I remember bringing my PlayStation 2 with me, and we played Lego Star Wars, the video game, and that there was this little upstairs bedroom. It wasn't a very large house, kind of a rundown house, but I remember playing Lego Star Wars and the upstairs bedroom, and I was riding the skateboard down the road, and Job and my dad and my brother were all in the yard, like throwing football and stuff like that, and my dad threw it at me. It just came spiraling towards me, hit me right in the nuts. I'll never forget that. And I fell off the skateboard. That was a funny memory that I had. That was the first time we really had like a sleepover. We hung out for the weekend, and it was great. Not a care in the world. Not a care about what's going on in the world. No politics. No fear of war. All that stuff. No fear of the taxes. Your insurance and all that. You're a kid being a kid, and those are times that I really wish I could go back to. And the next time we hung out, I think, I went over to his house. I was still in public school when this was happening. But I went over to his house one time. I remember one time. This is the first time I went over to his house. He lived in town in Danville, with his dad. I remember riding the bus home with him for the weekend. And it was usually, I was from a church-going family. So whenever I would go to his house, I would get off school on Friday, and I would ride the bus home with him. And I would stay a day, and I'd leave on Saturday afternoon sometime, because I had to be at church on Sunday. And that was something my grandparents always pushed. Of course, not that was a bad thing. That was great. I'm passionate about my religion and stuff like that. But I don't remember really what we did when we got together at his house this time. But I just remember it was great. It was great. We played. He had a GameCube and a PlayStation 2, and we played Revenge of the Sith and Star Wars Battlefront 2, the originals. And on the GameCube, he had a game called GoldenEye Rogue Agent. You might have heard of it, but we played that a lot. Did the multiplayer on that a lot. We just run around the map, fighting each other, and There was this map that we always played on, the Golden Gate Bridge map in Rogue Agents. And we just played the absolute heck out of that map. That was like our go-to map. But that was just a memory that we had. And of course, Job lived closer to the city limits than I did. I lived out in the country a ways, so I really couldn't walk anywhere. My grandparents didn't let me really walk anywhere. It was too far anywhere. I was out in the country, but Job was closer to town. So we would ride our bikes over to the school where we went to school, and there was the elementary school, and then right across the street from that was the high school. And right next to the elementary school, which at the time I don't think it was here, but was the middle school. So we rode our bikes around everywhere out there. And yeah, that was great. Then after I was pulled out of public school and homeschooled, Job and I still hung out a lot. There was one time where we were hanging out every week during the summer. Every week we would hang out, and it was great. Like one week we were actually having sleepovers for like a week at a time, almost. Or there would be one week where we would be at my house, and the other week we'd be at Job's house, and it was great. We were hanging out every day almost that summer. And then there was one time where Job came to visit us, and we had a cabin out in the out in southern Indiana near Patoka Lake, if you know where that is. We had a cabin. My family had a cabin, and we went out there and we spent a week out there. Joe brought his GameCube with him, and we played GoldenEye again. We played it with my brother too. We rode our bikes around. It was like a gravel neighborhood type thing. It was out in the woods, kind of like you're camping. It was fun. So we'd run around the woods everywhere. There was this old cave that, as a kid, I believe was Indians lived in it, which I don't know if that was true or not, probably, but but that was a fun memory I had, and Joe, I'm sure Job remembers that one. That was great. That was great. And then coming to another test of our friendship. I don't know the reasons behind why this one happened. It just did. It wasn't a falling out exactly. Not at all was it a falling out. But we had a stint where we just stopped talking. I was out of public school. I was homeschooled. And Job stayed in public school all the way up until he graduated high school. But there was a time when we just stopped talking one day. We didn't call each other. We didn't see each other. We had no communication, and this lasted up to 2 years. Forget, maybe it was probably like a year after we started being friends, maybe somewhere around there, a year or two. I don't remember at all. Yeah, it was pretty close to that. But we, like a lot of friendships you see out there, you guys just stop talking after a while. You have lives to live, things to do, and you just kind of have different lives. You're not seeing each other a lot, so you just kind of fall away and stop talking to each other. And that's what happened with us. Exactly what happened to us. And I was miserable every day. I remember I was sad. Like I want I don't remember how it happened. I think I lost his number, or he lost my number, or we both lost each other's number. It was just something stupid like that. Um, but that was, and I remember being miserable from that. We just didn't talk, didn't communicate. I didn't really have any friends growing up. But he was my best friend. He was my ride or die. That person that I could always count on. He was there for me. I was there for him. Um, but I just remember being miserable, and this lasted for like 2 years. 2 years. And then one day, we were probably in sixth grade, I would say. Yeah, sixth or seventh grade. Um, and it was me that called him first. It was me that called him first. I think I found his number. Of course, when I was growing up, I had an amazing memory. Like, I remembered phone numbers. I remembered dates and all this stuff. I just had a good memory. But I think I had found his number. Um, so I decided one day, I found his number. I'm like, whoa, I wonder if he has the same number. So I decided to call him. And his dad picks up the phone. It was like, hello? Like, hey, is this Joe? Is this Job's dad? Like, yes. Hey, this is Colin. Can you put Joe on the phone? I'm like, Colin, hey! So he put Joe on the phone. I remember how ecstatic Joe was like, Colin, I haven't heard from you in forever. I thought I'd lost you as a friend. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we started talking again after that. We had each other's numbers again. Like, hey, you wanna get together someday? And he's like, sure, let's get together. I don't remember whether he came to my house, whether I went to his house. But we got together and we kind of resumed our friendship from that. And I kept his number, he kept my number, and that was great. And there was this other time when I was taking karate lessons. I'm kind of all over the place. I'm just kind of reminiscing on different stuff. There was this other time where I was taking karate lessons. My brother was taking karate lessons. I was a gold belt. I never really did it much. It was only for like a few months. And I went from white to gold. That was what we did. But we had a Halloween party at our dojo in Plainfield. And I don't remember whether it was like a medal for the best costume or whether we did a karate contest of some kind. I don't remember, but I remember I got a gold medal from it, and Joe got a silver. Actually, I have it. Hang on. It's coming. Yeah, this is the exact medal that I remember getting. Yeah, it's just something that I've kept with me for years after that. And Job had a silver one, which I don't know if he still has. I doubt it. But this is just kind of one of those keepsakes that helps me remember. But yeah, I got that. I know I've been just kind of talking a lot for almost 30 minutes, but I just wanted to reminisce on my friendship with him. We've had some good times, we've had some bad times. We've had times that really tested our friendship. We've had times where we've disagreed, argued even, fought even. When we were younger, we thought everything was solved by punching. We did that. Our friendship was really tested. But after we started talking, after that 2-year stint that we didn't talk, it was great. Like, and then not long after that, not too terribly long after that, I moved to Tennessee, over near the Nashville area, and this really tested our friendship because I was all of a sudden in a different state, so we really couldn't see each other that often, but we still talked. We had each other's numbers. This is back at this time. This is when everyone's starting to use cell phones and stuff like that. Of course, me growing up, my parents didn't let me have phone until I was well into my teens, which was probably for the best for me. Um, so every time I wanted to call Job, I'd probably use my grandpa's phone. But we moved to Tennessee, and we had another stint where we didn't see each other. We still talked, but we didn't see each other for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years. And that really tested us too. But somewhere along those lines, after the PlayStation 4 came out, I got a PlayStation 4 for Christmas. And growing up, I didn't have a Wi-Fi in the house all the time like Job did. So it wasn't until later that we got that. So I didn't really game online until well into my teens. But I got a PlayStation 4 one year, and not too terribly long after that, we got Wi-Fi in our house. So Job had a PlayStation 4 as well. So of course we exchanged gamer tags, and we started gaming a lot. We played Assassin's Creed Unity. We played Call of Duty Advanced Warfare when that was a big thing. We played Battlefield 1 when that came out. So we started gaming a lot online. That was our cope for not seeing each other. It wasn't the same as being in person with him, laughing, just having a good time. But that's what we had, and it was great. It was great. Some of the games that we played together online was great. I'm trying to remember. My grandpa had an insurance agency up in Indianapolis. He was with a company called American Family Insurance. He was a district manager. So when we moved to Tennessee, you all might think I'm crazy, but this is the truth. This is what we did. Everyone has different ways that they have to make money and provide for their family. This is what my grandpa did. So American Family doesn't exist in Tennessee, and he didn't want to move to another agency or another company. So he kept the one in Indianapolis for 5 years after we moved. So I wasn't quite done with Indianapolis. I was, that's kind of where my heart was for the longest time after moving to Tennessee. So my grandpa let me drive up to Indianapolis with him every week. We for a while we would literally kind of just stay on the couch in the office. That's what we did. Then we had a fifth wheel toy hauler that we parked in the parking lot, and we slept in that for, I don't know, 3 years, 2 or 3 years that we did it, before someone finally called somebody, and then law enforcement came and told us that we couldn't park it there anymore, and so we made beds in the basement, and that's where we lived. And of course, we were going back and forth from Indiana to Tennessee every week. I did that with him up until he retired. But it also gave us a chance to see each other, me and Job. It gave me and Job a chance to see each other, and it was great. So every once in a while, I'd be at the office, and Job would come get me, and we'd spend the weekend or the week. We literally did this during the summer. We'd do like a Monday through Thursday through Wednesday thing, where because my grandpa and I always drove back on Thursday, so we would do a 3-day sleepover. And then I remember one time where we hung out during the weekend because Joe was in high school at the time. I was in high school. I'd do my homework at the office during the week, where my grandpa went back to Tennessee and left me at the office, and Joe was gonna come get me that next day. So I stayed in the office by myself, which I remember being kind of creeped out being there by myself, but I did it. And Job had his driver's license by this time. I didn't get mine till later. So though he drove up to Indianapolis to get me and took me back to Danville. And we stayed the weekend all the way up until Monday when my grandpa came back up to Indiana and he picked me up. And I remember Job had to be at school that Monday, and I remember staying in the morning at his house waiting for my grandpa to come get me. And I remember being kind of lonely at that, but it was just another memory. Of course, it was after my grandpa retired and we fully moved to Tennessee. That was when we kind of stopped seeing each other for the next 3 or so years. Like that last meetup that I had with Joe before that happened, that was the last time for like 3 or 4 years that we hung out. And it was kind of miserable, but like I said, we had our PlayStation 4s and we'd game online. So we had that. And, of course, after that time, this is when after that time, we decided, hey, you want to meet up? Job texted me one day. Now we're at the age where I think we were out of high school. And Job texted me one day. We have iPhones now, we're adults now, basically. And Job said, hey, you wanna get together for a week? I'll drive up to Tennessee or down to Tennessee, and I'll pick you up and take you back to. And I still don't have my driver's license. Of course, I didn't get my license until a little later, until I started working. I was late getting all that done, but yeah, I was like, hey, you wanna get together 1 week? I'll drive up to Tennessee, take you back to Indiana, and we'll spend a week together. Like, yeah, let's do it. So we did that, and that was great. He drove down to Tennessee in this rental car. I remember because his speedometer on his little white car he had at the time didn't work. And you didn't know what would go wrong with that car. I remember he got a rental car and he drove down to Tennessee. And he literally picked me up. And he brought me back to Indiana. And when this is during COVID. So nothing was open. We walked around Indianapolis a lot. Nothing was open. Not the War Memorial. Not any other museum or whatever. I don't even think Rocket Fist was open. I don't remember. I don't think it was. So we just walked around Indianapolis. Walked around the mall. I think the mall was open, but we had to wear masks. Then my grandpa drove halfway to meet up with us in Kentucky, and he took me back home from there. That was his. But after that, we were like, hey, we can do this. We can make this work. We started kind of hanging out again, like not frequently, but just enough. And it was great. It's like our friendship had survived through all of that. All the times that we just we're not able to see each other. All the times that we didn't talk. We'd have stints where we just wouldn't talk to each other. When we made it through it, we made it through it, and we managed. And up to this day, Job and I still see each other. Of course, I have my driver's license now. I work, he works. So we still commune back and forth. Sometimes I'll drive up to Indiana to visit him. for a week or a weekend or whatever. And sometimes he'll drive down to Tennessee and it'll be the same. It's great. We'll go shooting. We both like guns, so for all you anti-gun people out there, I'm sorry, but that's one of our hobbies. In all seriousness, I'm just joking. I'm not being political. It's just a joke, so don't take it the wrong way. But in all seriousness, yeah, that's one thing we do. We'll go out to eat somewhere. We'll go spend time in Nashville, near where I live. We'll go walk around downtown, or we'll go to Indianapolis, walk around downtown there. Just things like that we do, and it's great. It's great. Our friendship has survived through all of that, and we're still really close. And I couldn't ask for a better friend. I really couldn't. So yeah, I've been talking for 40 minutes now about it. I didn't really mean to kind of ramble on about that. I just had to reminisce on some stories. It might be really scrambled. The stories might not be in chronological order, whatever the case may be, but it's the a video intended to kind of reminisce on our friendship a little bit, and kind of an appreciation post to him for, being my friend for all these years. Despite all the hard times that we've had, we've argued, we've fought, we disagreed, and even some brief stints during our teenage years where we would literally try to disrespect each other because we were dumb kids that didn't know any better. All we could do was argue. But we powered through that as well. And nowadays, we're both 27 years old. So, we might have a little debate every once in a while, but we're cool about it. We're respectful. And we don't really argue anymore. He's a brother to me. He's not really a friend to me. He's a brother to me. He's just that guy that's always been there. He's family. And that's how I'll always see him. And now, as I close out this video, I just wanna say I love you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great birthday. We're gonna have a little brief stint again where we're not gonna be talking or seeing each other again, because I'm going to San Antonio, Texas, to Air Force basic training. And I want you to stay strong. Stay positive. I'll be all right. And you'll see me again. I'll see you again. It will be great. But just remember the why. Just why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for you. I want you to have a future. I know you do the same for me in a heartbeat. Anyway. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. I didn't mean to ramble on for as long as I did. I know there's a lot that I left out that I didn't put in here. Maybe some of that will pop up in a future video. But anyway, you know the drill. And I will see you in the next video.